Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, here we go again, and it's another Blueprint show, episode 7 this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. My name's Thomas Williams, and this is the Truth, Honour and Integrity show. Right, on we go with the show. And for those of you that don't know, that song was played and sung for the first time by Martin and Judith on the final night in Dublin recently. And a series of composite words and sentences from our show that covers the essence of THI and its real meaning and purpose very well. And so thanks to Martin and Judith for entertaining us, and we look forward to hearing more from you. Now, these are the words of the song, and I hope you all enjoy it as much as we did. It's beacon time to shine our light bright, so bright. Can you feel the light shining from inside? Don't you think it's kind of a miracle we're still alive? Don't you think it's kind of a miracle we're all alive at all? Imagine yourself balanced in and out, acting in love, caring with love, as within, so without. You are the one changing the world with every thought, emotion and word. You are the source and you are the strongest force. To shift reality, light up, shine from within, 'cause it's beacon time. Oh, shine our light bright, so bright. Can you feel the light shining from inside? You share, you care, lay bare to dare. Think for yourself and help others to grow from inside and out. You may and can step out of time and see and be all of yourself. De-loop and rise in order to shine your light, because it's beacon time. Go within, look within yourself for every one of your skills. Yourself is so desperate to live and to love and then to give to you and the world around you. And you will see what can be. Let go of the world as you know it. It has already ended, and grasp it what that means. That all lives matter, and grasp it. And it's beacon time again. To shine our light bright, so bright. Can you feel the light shining inside? Dare to turn on your beacon. Don't fear to love, but love to love. Do this one step and you are out of control, and roll out your heart, because it's beacon time. Fantastic stuff, and we're going to go into the book team now. The Romanian and Hebrew translations of the Blueprint book need only the cover text for completion now. The French translations of the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine booklet and also the Consent booklet are on the Communal Gatherings website. The Polish translation of the Blueprint is on the Blueprint website, along with the French and English versions. The German translation of the Blueprint is now nearing completion, and the German translation of From His Story to Our Story Volume 1 and the Consent booklet are in the proofreading stage. The Bulgarian translation of the Blueprint is also in the proofreading stage as well. And also From His Story to Our Story Volume 3 is being edited and reviewed after a hiatus. The research team. The Blueprint research team appreciates that the European members have been attending our meetings up to midnight their time, and the US members using their lunch hours. Now, to find a comfortable balance, we will be moving meetings to Sunday mornings, and the next meeting will be on Sunday, October the 15th. So it's this coming Sunday. I think it's at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Now, changes and the links will be posted on the MeWe Blueprint page and in the chat, as well as on Trello. Now, the database has some missing information and is still being researched. But if you have submitted names, we would like the following data of the influencer's website, email addresses, both personal and the organisation they represent, along with their title in that organisation. We also need Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube channels, mailing addresses, and also phone numbers. Now, some influencers are on WhatsApp, Gab, Telegram, and also Instagram. We gather whatever we can find and then work to fill in those gaps for all the names in the database. Now, often the preferred method for them is by a contact form on their website. And please forward any of this information to us if you can, as it helps us move forward faster. Now, on October the 1st, the team emailed Thomas list number 3 with 25 influencer names and their contact information. And we will be sending future lists in whatever quantity he prefers. Now, the official cover letter for emailing the blueprint will be posted on MeWe Blueprint Action Group. And users will be asked to agree to provide to the research team 1. Influencer names, 2. Contact information, and 3. Report any replies received. Now, this format will assist us to correlate it to the spreadsheet so that we can track our progress. Journalistic media will be the next phase of the research, with discussions to follow on the alt media versus the mainstream media. And they said they welcome any suggestions from all members, and please send them by MeWe to @MamaZenja. Now, the following is the list of books and also PDFs. The reports of books and PDFs to be sent. Now, the books that are being sent out: 1. Thomas Melville, 2. Joe Rogan, 3. Kaylin Georgescu, 4. Kerry Cassidy, 5. Vivek Ramaswamy, 6. Whitney Webb, 7. Senator Michael Weber, 8. Senator Josh Hawley, 9. Kareem Weaver, and 10. The President of Ghana. Now, the PDFs to be sent out this week was Colonel Douglas McGregor, Jimmy Dore, Andrew Bridgen, King Abdullah II of Jordan, Jared Fidden of Wide Awake Media, Cliff High, George Della Pietra, Jair Bolsonaro, Nancy Segal, Ian Miles Chong, Victor Orban, and Milesh Kuthari. More on that later. The media team's next, and our meeting this week followed more of an overview of our progress so far and an open discussion on what we would like to see emerging with the team. Now, it was interesting to observe the flow that is emerging unconsciously now, as our choice of memes daily seem to all be connected in varying ways, though some are THI memes, Blueprint memes, or TPC memes. And they are all connecting dots together, all in their own unique way, almost telling a story. And this helps a lot with the TikTok account, as they can go all into one video together, which is how TikTok works. And we discussed our role within aiding the research team and how we can facilitate them more on targeting influencers or posting comments that contain the blueprint messages. And so we have begun the task of choosing lesser known influencers with small followings, anywhere from 4 to 500, up to 10,000, as they have an audience too, and many are aligned with the need for change and the Blueprint ethos. So this too will broaden the reach, and they may well be the ones that notice us in their comments. We moved on to a discussion on being seen and how simply carrying the Blueprint book through airports and while in a restaurant or coffee shop was garnering inroads to discussions with the public. And they then came up with the idea of thinking in the lines of merchandise, t-shirts, beanies or simply stickers, and asked could this be a new TBC enterprise. But mostly what we came to understand was there are no limits on how the message gets out there, and certainly no right or wrong ways to do it. And if we act with professionalism and from the heart, the doors will open and opportunities will grow. Now, if you have any ideas that you feel could help us venture into new areas, please feel free to contact Susan on MeWe, and they are always happy to hear them. We've also created now many French Blueprint memes, and would love anyone in any European country to send us the relevant version in their language for any of the current memes or indeed new ones. These then can be circulated on your own social media as well as within our own sites. And they say each language carries its own frequency and can connect with the people on a different level that may attract their attention. And it also personalises it to your own country of origin and further aids the seed to go further. The web team report. The web team continues to work on multiple fronts, bringing together technical requirements and human creativity. Our update this month is not about what we have done since the last report, but instead it is a call for other people with technical skills to join our team. And we are interested in people with experience in managing or supporting IT infrastructure, such as dedicated application servers, email services, integrations between various IT systems, and setting up and consuming various cloud and online services. We have a few WordPress websites which require regular updates and maintenance, as well as additional resource and creativity to birth new ideas to present, promote and take forward, or present, promote and take forward what THI is all about. Now, expertise in any of the above, as well as technical curiosity in a wide range of areas, will certainly help. However, just as important, if not more important, is an ability to see and understand the bigger technical picture and a willingness to learn as required. And so to join us and to find out more, please contact a video on MeWe. Now, an update from me. Following the completion of this report, 7 of the books have now been sent out as of today, and they include Kerry Cassidy, the Senators Josh Hawley, Michael Webber and Vivek Ramaswamy, Kareem Weaver, Kaelin Georgescu in Romania, plus the President of Ghana, Mr. Akufo-Addo. And as of Tuesday, all of the PDFs were sent out with the new email format now rectified by the web team. Now, we've had some feedback from the initial sendings of the PDF, and it reads as follows. Name Cliff High. Email go to hell and fuckyou.com. Subject, blueprint, feedback, message, piss off. Our message to Mr. High is now our team would like to thank Cliff High for showing to the world his special level of uncultured behaviour. And out of the hundreds who have been shown the blueprint privately, all have received it well, no matter which country they were from. But you will always have the few who cannot think for themselves, who get envious of others and denigrate them without even reading it. Now, sadly for Cliff, his only source of intel and input is a CIA algorithm machine. And as much as he won't like it, our data keeps coming up in his reports. And the old adage is, some people you just can't reach. But then if their only source of thinking is an algorithm machine, you get bot-level answers back. The humanity consciousness field will remember you, Cliff. Now, for those of you who remember our water solution in the blueprint, this story will be of immense interest. MIT researchers have created a solar-powered desalination device that can make seawater drinkable for less than the cost of US tap water. Oops. Now, one hopes that is not put in the hands of Langley contractors, but it is given to the people to run without shareholders or CEOs. This is a life-saving device and should not be used for profiteering or racketeering in an advanced society. And maybe one of our members or a team of our members could compile and draft a letter to MIT along with our solution about water in the blueprint and see what feedback we can get. Open discussion topics and questions. The overview. The sum of the whole is greater than the parts. And often people hesitate to participate because they're not sure what they can contribute, or are uncertain about success, or just don't know what it would be like working with a group of people that they don't know too well. But making the time, doing the work and keeping communication open takes commitment. And then there's the bonus of the shadow work that heals the soul and supercharges the team. Now, having said this, the personal growth and interconnectedness that occurs when working as a team is manifold and brings its own riches and rewards. Many of us sitting in the Blueprint Zooms have come because we listened to our hearts and made a decision to overcome our shyness, awkwardness, and indeed sometimes a feeling of being less than or without knowledge or skills needed to take on such a big task. All of which are their programs running deeply within us, I might add. There is a great desire in us all for the chance to change, to emerge. And our minds and hearts have always steered us towards truth. We have faced many hurdles in the race to uncover the knowledge, and many of us losing people along the way. Now, this can work in two ways. It can cause us to slow down and retreat from society, or it can propel us into positions of having to face our own inner demons to become one with the message of truth and the frequency it provides. That frequency is freedom. Learning to commune together as one is a challenge at times, as we must overcome the hurdle of Zoom meetings, which can make us feel less connected and can dampen our voice for a while. But we are all learning that union with a common purpose and goal outsmarts technology, and bonds form, hearts open, and voices begin to emerge from quiet corners. Navigating time zones is another hurdle to overcome, but in general we have managed to break the time barriers and rise in vertical time together, no matter what the clock says. Those seats hold but a few of us, and we have been holding space for you to come and join us, as we know there are many that felt as we did in the beginning. The beginnings are always difficult to step into, though many of us found the procrastination was far more uncomfortable than the action of doing. But the heart space that has been created now is full of joy and the miracle of creating intention, and has brought a sense of flow and creativity within the groups. That is bearing fruits of new cohesiveness and togetherness that holds deep riches for personal growth and empowerment to one, which then becomes all. We are learning to unfurl our petals and step into the light, and indeed be the light. And we invite you all to do the same, follow your heart and your desire for change, and become part of the great chance for change now. We are better together, we block their flow, and our river overflows, drowning out their noise, their programs, and also their power. There is a time for everything in the natural rhythm of life. This is your chance to beat your own drum within our group and be part of the future of humanity. Right, before we go into the final piece, I wish everyone to take the opportunity to have deepest sympathy with the Israeli and Palestinian people following what has taken place there this past week. Now is not the time to point fingers, although rest assured that will come in due time. But I'm asking you all to spend a minute in their shoes. The panic, the fear, the sheer terror of what is unfolding. Be with them and for them in the next minute. And also have thoughts for our known Jewish members Ohad and William at this painful time. We will now have a minute's silence. Right, thank you all for that. And given what we have just done, perhaps this next piece is more apt to question now. What is human? Now, this was written 3 to 4 years ago, with some additions this week, and was considered a powerful piece that hit people right between the eyes. Has it had an effect? Are we seeing now the full evidence of what was presented? Well, that is for you to decide. But what is human? A strange question to ask under normal circumstances, you would think. But can it be defined? And what have we done to define it? With the varying cultures, most of which was created for us, all of them in some way are exclusive, not inclusive. Riddled with errant ways, masks, false his story, and a false present story. But that is changing rapidly now. Each culture presented with an image, none are free, and all conform to some ancient book or ritual passed down by the dark forces. I have covered most cultures and peoples around the world and not put them in a good light as a whole. Why? Do I really need to answer that question? You can all see why, but many refuse to face the reality. The original cult, as it was called way back when, was the solar cult of the Earth. It is the origin of the word culture, cult. But if only all people followed that path and culture, we wouldn't need shows and pieces like this today. But we have a world riddled in poverty, a world where the many don't have the basics in life, and many people labelled as savages or third world without understanding the connotations of what is being said. The Western world riddled in greed, overindulgence and falsehoods, and if you want to see real savages, look at social media, particularly in the West. And yet, curiously, people think the Western world is run by white people. It is emphatically not. It is again run by the Jewish elites, with Jewish programs designed to crush the white race and all peoples contained within that country. The Western world is also run by psychopaths in the unintelligent agencies, again operated by the Jewish elites. People riddled with insecurity, bitterness, sniping at each other, inflammatory comments or posts designed to get them likes or comments, laden with drama, all with the intent of projecting their own failures onto other people, be it friends, family, social media friends, the government, the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati, the Order, plus some who blame off-world. And that is the top and bottom line of it. Truth becomes a byword to the low self-esteem, insecurity and vessels riddled with malignant venom of their own making. Their lives are shit, dark and devoid of humanity, because the truth hurts them so much. Because what comes with truth is personal responsibility, which is a no-no for far too many, whether awake or asleep. People who are intent on making others accountable and yet neglect their own accountability or being accountable as well, and social media is riddled with it. Most people walk past or step over the homeless in the street because they are seen as lesser people. But they are no different to you. But with the comparative and competitive mindset, they're seen as lesser people, which is no different to the working class frowning on people on benefits. It's no different to the middle class frowning on the working class. No different of the upper class frowning on the middle class, and no different of the elite frowning upon the upper class. It's also no different for the order frowning on the elite families, and no different to the former trustee frowning on us all. And guess what? Nobody told us to do that. We just did it. How many people in the world genuinely care that 900,000 children go missing in America each year? That 49,000 children die each day? That 1.3 billion have no electricity, 1 billion have no clean water, and over 3 billion don't have a decent home. And yes, our members have heard about it, but did your life change because of it? Did it cause you to be more grateful of what you have, not what you haven't? Now, back then, the TPC donations sent a package of food basics, medicine and child essentials to a small village in Venezuela, after their country was ransacked by the same clowns running and ruining this country. It was a small gesture. It didn't require much funding, but was a godsend to that village. And much can be done with little, and yet people feel you need a lot to do much. No, that's just the mindset. You have lawyers charging $200 to $300 an hour to read or write, and people charging thousands of dollars for consultations and fake presentations. That we also had a story back at that time of one of our members charging $75,000 for that line of work. And yet that's 3 years' pay for the average surface worker in this country. And yet $75,000 can feed a whole village for a whole year in most cases. It's all about perspective. Examples in New Age style social media people presenting themselves as spiritualists and then charging $200 to $400 to hear one line of kumbaya bullshit after another. Now, we had one member in our group back then who charged people $2,000 just to meet and greet him. It beggars belief. Goddess this, angel that, star seeds, like they're the only ones who came from the stars. We all did. And the arrogance is astounding. We had millions of love and light people in America in the late 60s. Did the world become a better place? No. We have billions extolling the virtue of the church, religion and God, all praying for salvation. Has the world changed with that program? No. It has turned this planet into a war zone. And so neither of those programs worked to bring a better world. Why? Because it was all fake is why. and only those in denial would repeat those programs and expect them to work. Many are still asking for a 2,000-year-old dead man to become a zombie and return to save them. It's utter madness. All whilst ignoring the fact of why would he want to come back here? Because according to the story, you all ignored him and left him to die 2,000 years ago. Is that harsh? Yes, but it's the truth, isn't it? The real story of Jesus, whether real or not, is that the people never saved him then. What chance would he have now? With a baying mob of internet warriors who believe everything except when it comes to the truth. I could give and spend a whole show on what is wrong and how we are all responsible for that wrong. And yes, many will point out it is the government, the agencies, the Illuminati who have done this all to us. But that is the lie, or at best, partially true. We are them and they are us, but reality bites, as most was done by us, due to a lack of care for our fellow men, women and children. And the failing to address that leads to what we have now, a free-for-all in chaos, confusion, anger, bitterness, envy, and riddled in the worst malignancy of humanity, the self. What is human? Do you know? What lies beyond our own self-entitled bubble world? Do you see? Do you feel? Do you sense? Do you have real empathy? And the kicker is, do you care? Words often lie. Words have spells, most of which are oblivious to all but the devious amongst us. But actions don't. In this current time-space vibration, those lies, hidden agendas, masks, projections don't work too well. All of it is being exposed on a massive scale, on every single level now, and what you see is very ugly, no matter where you are from. And the reason being is most people on this planet are fake. Yes, many pretend to be all love and light, throwing out love emojis and memes, but inside they're far from it. And if that wasn't a correct assessment, the world would be a much better place. It's not. All can see that now, whether awake or not. We had just done the letter addressed to the top order on this planet when this piece was first written, and it was stark in its condemnation of their inability to follow a simple plan and to look after the treasures that belonged to us all. But if you paid attention and listened closely enough, that letter could well have been addressed to us as well. You see, we are no different on every level of society, in every class of society, in every culture of society, in every religion, colour or gender of society. And the letter was no different to the Cassandra letter addressed to the alt media. None whatsoever. Now you can all ignore that, and humanity is adept at ignoring things both externally and internally, or face reality and the brutal truth. We have failed as a collective of what it means to be human, me included. And once a problem is established and the finger pointing away from you stops, then it becomes about solutions to fixing the problem. But there is hope as well, as many are now starting to act in better ways, using their energy to improve things for the all, not just the self. In our own group, there are many wonderful examples of people accepting their own responsibility and striving to improve themselves and working towards helping others. And I said at the time I wouldn't list those names because we still had a largely comparative mindset people within and outside the group crying about favouritism at the time. But the problem is not that they are favourites. The problem is you and your own unaddressed insecurity. Fix it. It is destroying you, not me or anybody else, and that is your responsibility. Now, many people had said at the time had helped me to do this job more efficiently than I was previously, and I thanked all the people who gave me donations each month, and that I was grateful to you all, including to those who couldn't give in terms of financial support. They gave in their energy of supporting me in bringing about a change, and there has to be a near 180 change on many levels, as all the previous models had failed on all levels. But at that time, some people were complaining about me, and yet none of them would do this work for 5 minutes. They know that deep down. But the comparative mind runs through many people's vessels like a malignant cancer cell. And the gist of those who complain is they wish they had the vision, balls and gumption to do what I do, but never had the drive or vision to do so. And so rather than trying to elevate themselves into a similar position, they take the easy way out and try to drag their target of envy down to their level. And this is why, as a collective, we all fail. Do you not see that? Everyone dragging each other down means we all end up at the bottom. And like war, an eye for an eye, and we all end up blind. How is that progressive? Is that being human? This show is about harsh truth reality, and it is harsh. It has to be because we have all gorged on bullshittery our whole lives. But this show is about elevating us all. And many of our members have complained to me that I don't give myself enough credit. And yes, I see that. But that is then putting me on a pedestal. The drive for me is we're all on the pedestal, not just the one. Because the one is replicating the old system. The old system created for us failed, but it was created for us because we didn't take responsibility to create a system for ourselves. And if people think playing the old movie over and over again like Groundhog Day will bring change, you're as deluded as they come. Stuck in the programs and programming of non-creative thinking and let's all play bots of copy and repeat. Is that being human? Education, government, health, charity, finance, war and military, class structure, culture, religion and business all failed. And failed spectacularly. Not as spectacular as what was known as the Order, but nonetheless, it all failed. But to the few who really know what has gone on this planet, we knew it was all designed to fail, is why. And are we really that stupid to keep repeating failed old models? Or do we analyse each section and come up with solutions of a better way for the first time in 110,000 years at least? That is the task we all face going forward. Our past legacy is not pretty, and people can carry on projecting at others. The reality is they are projecting at themselves. And that is why you are seeing so many in public, alt and social media accusing others of doing what they have done or participated in themselves. But their lack of humanity prevents them from seeing what the observer sees, and the problem is you. But sadly, you are not alone in that thinking, as it is a pandemic within society. Cassandra said, "We have told you the truth, and even the few amongst you relaying the truth are dismissed and ridiculed to a point of exasperation." And that is a fact. For the people who believe in Jesus, what did his followers or the people do to protect them? Nothing. Radomir or Mary Magdalene? Again, nothing, but a very few who tried to protect them. Anna in the 1500s, again, the people stood and cheered in the square as she was burnt alive by the Catholic Church for daring to teach the truth. And all people who stand up for the real truth get treated the same way. Denigrated, abused, threats of violence, their lives destroyed trying to help you all, and that is the price people pay for trying to help you. The few have gone to great lengths to help the all, and that is what they get in return for doing so. You can't blame any other organisation for doing that. It is you, it's us, humanity as a collective, who did and does that. And what is worse is your friends and family do the most damage. Is that being human? So what is human, and have we really defined it? Like, what will life be like in a better world? Too few have defined it. What does it mean? What does it entail? How will we go about it? How will we achieve it? And do we want to achieve it? Is there a plan? We have a plan. But do you have a plan? Or are you too content for others just to make a plan for you? Which is exactly what transpired in the old model, is it not? Where is your plan? Where are your solutions? And why is there a propensity to only bring problems or faults with others? Pushing others into making a plan for you is dissolving your own responsibility. And so when the few only back the plan and it fails, people can then point fingers at those who failed. But that is the illusion. A plan fails as the all didn't participate in it to make it work. If they all participate in it, any plan has a better chance of prevailing. But people fight over being leader, their ideas are better than yours, or they want to control the plan and the narrative. And we had a classic example of that back then, of the THI state and country groups, too busy arguing over pedantics and control, self-serving agendas, rather than coming to a common consensus and solutions. And that did happen. And in that aspect, the awake are no better than the sleepers. Why? Because the you hasn't addressed the self problems. Low self-esteem or confidence, ego imbalance, and the comparative and competitive mindsets are the ills in us all. And these are the reasons behind our collective continuing failure in life. And we are responsible for that change. If you don't, and you go in a group setting, you then triggers others to jump back to the old model way. And then it becomes a loop, a hamster wheel of repeated and repetitive failure mindsets. And so ultimately the change is you, and you are the change. It is symbiotic and infectious. Like attracts like. And you can attract negative, which is the subset of humanity now, or you can be and attract positive, higher vibrational energies. The choice is yours. Are you going to create change and be different? Or say you will be creating change but run the same failed old model program? Now, because there are too few who are aware of what is going on within them or around them, they have become vacant, empty shells, vessels whose programming ran out and failed, and there is no one to tell them what to do now. And so panic ensues. That is the realm of the clowns, the Order, the Illuminati, and the Cabal. And this is what we are all witnessing currently. They are like a child's first time on a bicycle, waiting for a parent to push them along. Thrashing about with no direction, life whizzing past them, the majority of which they are oblivious to. Look around you. Nothing works. People are going nuts. Behaviour and demeanours get more bizarre by the day. And hey, the latest in the news of that particular week, let's all eat babies to save the planet. Eat humans to stop the climate change. All of which sounds like an off-world restaurant, that to me. But they warned you all of it back in 1991 with the movie Silence of the Lambs. You didn't think that was about entertainment, did you? I recently said at the time, fact is fiction and fiction is fact. Do you understand that concept now? Most people just thought that woman saying, "Let's eat babies," was a joke. It's not. It's implanting the seed in people's psyche, from eating babies to sexually molesting children at any age. They are programming you to accept it. And as they know most people ignore everything they do, they get away with it. But the few that challenge it then become targets by internet warriors, some of which are paid to do so, or coerced into doing so by the fact the authorities have dirt on them and are using that leverage against them. But who are you? And some will reply, I am me. But what is you? Have you defined what is you? Are you the body, the spirit, the soul, the mind? And you do realise a body without a spirit dies in organic humans. It is the primary cause of death in the sleep. The spirit didn't make it out of the astral level, was attacked and consumed by the energy harvesters contained within that realm. Science won't tell you that. Neither will your doctor, psychologist or hospital. They just say it is unexplainable. It's not. It is clearly explainable, but who wants to hear it? A new chapter of what it means to be human will have to be defined and rewritten going forward. All cultures are culpable and responsible for this current mess. And if you don't believe me, here's a small reminder based on the collective, not the individual. White people, based in greed, all about the self, and walk around with fake avatars of the real person, have a serious alcohol abuse problem, have numbers of white people within elite circles with vast wealth, none of which is shared amongst their own people. Your history is false. Blacks in America and Africa. Lots of ill-gotten gains from drugs, gun running, prostitution, none of which is shared within your own community, creating ghettos, high levels of violence and deaths between your own people, trading your own people as slaves long before the Europeans arrived. Your history is false. Tribal groups, again involved in clandestine money-making schemes, plus oil and casinos, and yet none of it is given to your own people, who are forced into living in shacks and ramshackle reservations, forcing their own people to work as slave labour on the reservations, and they are stated to be in tune with Mother Nature, and yet they drill right through her to harvest bacteria poop for monetary gain. That is not being in tune with nature. Stated to be in touch with the spirit world and promote psychedelic concoctions that puts people in grave danger because they are ignorant of the facts. Fake shamans with less than a year's training, all designed to make money, none of which is shared with their own people. Your history is false also. India and that region of Asia, you run a caste system even to this day that was blamed on the Dutch and British, and yet you still persist with it 72 years later. Is it the Raj or the Ra? 8 of the top 10 richest people in the world are Indian, yet do they share it amongst their own people? Like all other groups, the answer is no. Forced marriages, forcing children into marriages, making out Buddha and Hinduism is based on your own culture. It's not, it's fake. The Rus tried to teach you a better way. You failed. 1/3 of the world's hunger problem is in India. 7,000 die each day in India from hunger. So much for Buddha and Shiva teachings being about love and consideration. Your history is false. Australia, New Zealand, the group who sold humanity out 16,500 years ago for weapons against a local tribe. The Aboriginals group also corrupt, gaining back their lands only to sell it onto developers, creating oil fields, none of which the proceeds goes back to their own people. Your history is false also. Hispanic peoples, like the black population, involved in clandestine money programs against your own people, using them as slaves and patsies, involved in drugs, laundering, trafficking, child sex related programs, and in Central America, child ritual programs. None of the proceeds goes back to their own people. Your history is false also. The Middle East, riddled with the same criminality as above, add in religious fervorism, and you have a cocktail of violence, death and destruction. Your history is more fake than the rest combined. Vast quantities of minerals, treasures and artefacts, the proceeds of which are not shared with your own people either. You can't even share the land. Your story is his story, and as fake as a glass eye. Chinese and Japan, again riddled with gang warfare, generating vast profits off their own people, again not shared amongst their own people. And even in Hong Kong, there has been an incredible surge in wealth in recent years. Did they share it? No. Pol Pot, Chairman Mao and many other leaders in that country murdered millions of Chinese over a difference of opinion. Yakuza and triad gangs assembled vast wealth. Again, none of it shared with their own people. Your history is false also. The world has 838 million people undernourished, and yet we have 1.6 billion people overweight, of which 742 million are obese. That in and of itself shows a lack of sharing, need, not greed. And people say there is no money, and yet so far that year $316 billion has been spent on illegal drugs alone. I guess it's all about priorities, isn't it? The role of the archetype mother is to care for her children, and yet to date this year there have been 33.5 million abortions globally. You can make excuses for a portion of those aborted births, but nowhere near that figure. 2 million to date this year have died of alcohol abuse. You can afford to buy alcohol, which is not a basic in life, but not feed the millions starving around the world. And all of it is a classic example of greed, not need. Of looking after the self and not the all. Where is the care of and for others? Why is there a lack of care? Because the majority only care for themselves. Which would be useful if they cared for themselves and actually fix themselves. But that's not the case either, is it? As we approach an eclipse in this country this coming Saturday, an event arising of differing sorts, will it reach a nadir and go forward, or will it be left and met in silence, with only whispers on the wind? Who will nurture it, embrace it, and who will ignore it and just gorge on the entertainment factor of it all. Briefly, the sun will appear to dim from your perspective, but the sun always shines 24/7. It never rises or sets. The heart wishes to go on, but the head wishes to stay in its own prison. We were never meant to be in a prison of our own making. Is that being higher universal man or serpent man? And as one member said today, refusing to love is the same as refusing to breathe. It has the same consequences. And yet so many in this country do just that, as explained as to why so many are single. But a world or country without love is a dying entity. Will you stand by and give it its last rites, or breathe life and love into it? 3 to 4 years on, and too much of this piece is still prevalent and questionable as to where we are heading as a collective. People are still protecting their labels when they should be setting an example of how to be. His story still plays out as people are reluctant to face their own truths, and that has devastating consequences, as the Israeli and Palestinian people found out again this week. Everything I warned of in those pieces 4 years ago has and is playing out, particularly the global collapse. The old world, as I described it back then, makes much more sense now to you all. But there is also much hope as well, largely coming out of our own group, as we were prepared to take on the responsibility for it, unlike billions of others. And the blueprint is having a large effect, that you are all aware of now within your own circles. And this is the beginning of it. Let us all put more effort into seeing it come to a beneficial conclusion. And that is a task accomplished by us all coming together, sharing the load, caring and sharing with compassion, empathy, consideration and love. To do that, you have to follow your heart. And remember, hope is the avenue of the light. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye for now.